I can't emphasize enough, if you didn't get what you needed, and it doesn't mean that you were not in a loving environment, because I've, over the years, interviewed multiple people from the same family. Somebody felt that, that's why you end up arguing with your sisters and brothers about what went on, because they're saying, but mom and dad were this, and you go, but that wasn't my experience. And if you didn't get what you needed, that's all that matters.
Absolutely.
That's all that matters.
Absolutely.
So I think a lot of people may think, well, it's too late for me. I'll live with this pain for the rest of my life. What do you want people to hear and understand about healing from their own trauma and what resilience actually means?
So the first thing I want to do to help people appreciate is that they should be hopeful. The beauty of the human brain is that it's malleable, it's changeable. The challenge, however, is that in order to get sufficient change, you have to have multiple doses of the right kind of experience. And the right kinds of experiences are almost always relationally mediated. So if you have attentive, attuned, loving people in your life, and that can be family and school.
Or not be family.
And community, or not be family, just people around you who are present and attentive and attuned, you have this healing matrix, this healing environment where you can essentially have the reparative experiences that will lead to health.
This is what I want people to know, because so many people feel, as I did, that you didn't get what you needed from a particular parent or from your, loved ones who were supposed to love you. You didn't get loved the way you needed to be loved.
Right.
But I had asked you earlier in one of these conversations, I don't know why I'm not stone crazy. And you said,
it's because there were people in your life who were present and helpful and,
yes,
and loved you.
So that could be a teacher,
absolutely,
that could be a counselor, that could
absolutely,
be somebody in Sunday school,
right,
that can be, yes.
All these things create an environment where you have opportunities for all kinds of healing, social healing, cognitive healing, motor healing, but you need this environment.
So I'm really, really so moved today, because we heard from a lot of you who have read the book, and some of you are joining this conversation. Annie, hi there. You're zooming in from Minnesota. Oh, lovely home.
Hi.
Very nice.
Hey, Oprah. Hi, Dr. Perry. Thanks for having me.
Hello.
Can you share how you were impacted by what happened to you in your childhood?
Yeah, my childhood it felt very rough to me. There was a lot of neglect and emotional abuse. And I just never felt loved, safe, protected, specifically by my parents. And it's made for some real struggles in my life.
And I heard that after reading the book, you see yourself differently. I love to hear that, and I know Bruce does too. So how so? What happened?
I always felt so flawed, like something was wrong with me. Like I wasn't lovable. And after reading the book, I realized the way my parents showed up for me really had nothing to do with me. It had to do with their own difficult upbringings, childhood, challenges in their own lives. And that's how they showed up for me. So it was just a relief for me in reading this book to understand that there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not unlovable. I've done a lot of work to heal from my childhood trauma. My question is, how do I forgive my parents for not showing up the way I needed them to show up for me? I feel like that's the one place where I'm just still kind of stuck in my healing.
Well, first of all, it's the issue of forgiveness is one of the hardest challenges that we as human beings have. In fact, it's interesting. I don't want to get religious here, but the Lord's Prayer is not many words, but there's a whole line about forgiveness. And of all of the things you could bring into that foundational prayer,
Forgive us our trespasses? Is
Yeah,
that what that we
that's
forgive those
so
who
elevated.
trespassed against us? Yeah.
It's elevated because that's such a challenging thing to do. So here's what I would just say is that forgiveness is a process. It's not a switch. You don't just go, I'm going to forgive you and then it's done. It's a process. And I think as you grow and you heal and you learn more about the stories of your parents, you'll begin to develop some more understanding of the reality that they probably were not intentionally trying to be as bad as it felt. And little by little, in tiny little bits of forgiveness, it'll come. But it can take a whole lifetime.
I love what you said about it's not a switch you're going to turn on. If I may share this, the best definition I ever heard of forgiveness, I can't remember who did it so many years ago on the show, was giving up the hope that the past could be any different. So giving up the hope that the past could be any different is a decision you have to make. You have to decide that I now accept that what happened as it happened. And I'm going to give up hoping that my parents were, could have been, should have been anything other than what they were. And I am now willing to move forward. It doesn't mean that you excuse it, you condone it, but you accept that you are not going to continually hope that it could have been different. Because hoping that it could have been different leaves you in the space where you're going to always be stuck and you never get to move forward. You are as resilient, you are as strong, you are as caring for others. You have the compassion that you have because of all the things that you did not get from them, that you had to find a way to make okay for yourself. So give up the hope for them. And also what Bruce said, also understanding what happened to them.
Yeah.
Watching you makes me want to cry, but I remember I was being asked to come to speak about my mother at a church. And she was, a very, not religious. It was important for her to be seen as religious in the community. And I had become Oprah Winfrey, and everybody knew she was my mother. And I'd been asked to come to church to give all these accolades about my mother. And I couldn't think of one thing. I was listening to other people tell stories of their mother. This girl told a story of how her mother would make lunch, especially in the rain. She would pack it in a special lunchbox, and she would put their galoshes with those little yellow boots at the front door. And then she'd be home to take them off. And I was like, oh my God, I don't have one memory. I don't have one single thing. And so when it came time for me to speak, I thought, well, what do I actually have to be grateful for? She didn't abort me. She did the best that she knew. The best that she knew was not enough to feed what I needed, was not enough to make me feel whole, was not enough to make me feel valued or seen or important to her. It was not. But it was the best that she could do, and I gave up the hope that it could have been anything other than what she had. And that's where you have to get to.